starting Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Centennial Concert Hall. Manitoba Opera is presenting Verdi's Falstaff with Todd Thomas in the title role. And who do we have here in the studio right now? Todd Thomas. Welcome back. High five.
There you go.
So good to see you back in the Diamond Lane. So welcome back to Winnipeg.
Great to be here, and specifically great to be with you again today on air. Thanks.
No,
Thank
man,
you.
it's always a pleasure to have you. So hey, last time you were here, you were doing some recital work, but you're not a stranger to the Centennial stage and to Manitoba Opera.
No, this is like my third appearance with the opera company.
So you did Rigoletto in 2012,
right? I only come on election years.
On election years, is that what it is?
Yeah, because not that I want to go to that topic particularly today.
Right.
We won't do that.
Yeah.
But 2008, I was here for Trovatore, and actually I remember when Obama was elected in my little room and watching that very emotionally, from in 2008 when I was doing Trovatore. 2012, of course, I was here during for Rigoletto, and then now 2016 for Falstaff. So
and we're so glad to have you. I'm glad you're in Canada.
Canada's been very good to me. Canada's been very good to me. And this was in 2008. This was my first Canadian debut, as it were. And since then, I'd been. I sang Scarpia in Ottawa a few years after that, and then I've been back to BC, Victoria, 3 different occasions.
Weren't you just doing Wagner as well?
That was a couple seasons ago. I did my first Wagner piece in BC, Pacific Opera Victoria. Yeah.
You know what? Okay, let's get into this. For our listeners who aren't necessarily opera aficionados or who know singers, we have to talk about the amount of physical commitment that it takes to be a Verdi baritone or to sing. Your Wagner stuff. I mean, how many other musicians are you singing with at the same time?
Well,
how
more
many
often against, actually.
Well, against.
I mean, the orchestra, specifically in Wagner, there's a whole brass section that really is, unrelenting in the sense that. And so it's very difficult in terms of to verbalize what that means. You hit the nail on the head in terms of there's a physicality to my singing that one needs to always bring that onto the stage with them. We are not mic'd, of course, in the opera house. In most opera houses still today, thank goodness. It's a chance to step away from technology, at least that vocal enhancement part of it.
Right.
Our training is such that we have to really pump out that sound and to maintain that over a 2 or 3 hour period. I think what specifically in Verdi, what makes for the baritone voice compelling and really most engaging, it's not really the powerhouse singing as much as it is actually the softer spots. It's the more tender sections we see, like in Rigoletto with the duets with Gilda, in Boccanegra with the duet he has upon recognizing his daughter from many years ago, Amelia. In Falstaff, there's soft singing in a sense. He actually calls for a lot of head tone, a lot of falsetto things when he imitates the voice of Alice Ford. A couple of other places that Ford, also another baritone in the role of the opera, which I should say this is one of my favorite scenes. It's in our version, it's Act 1, Scene 3, in which I get to sing with or against the great Gregory Dahl.
Yes,
and he's turned to be a really fabulous colleague.
Who is one of our favorite Manitoba singers,
he's
for sure.
Just a great colleague and a fabulous singer. And truly that is the high point, one of the high points of the opera for me, to sing that scene with Gregory.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about Falstaff then. Give us a quick synopsis. So you are this character who appears in 3 Shakespeare plays.
Yeah, right.
And so Boito, Arrigo Boito, condensed this, these 3 kind of character appearances of this guy Falstaff.
Basically, based loosely on the play Merry Wives of Windsor. Very much, it follows the same plot lines as Merry Wives of Windsor. We see John very much in the autumn of his life, later part of his life. He's not a progressive thinker. He thinks most of his time, most of the opera, he thinks, in the past. He specifically says, "You should have seen me as a page. Boy, I was so thin I could just slip through the eye of a needle." Practically, he tells to Alice, "He's in my war days, you would have no idea how many battles I fought." It's like one of those things I'm starting to relate to in my mid-50s. That, as my kids often say, "Oh yeah, the good old days will never come back again for you," right? I mean, it's that kind of thing. And I don't think I'm as old as Falstaff is in my own personal journey, but there is a tendency already, I think, as we get older, to look back and to say, "Oh, things will never be better than they were, when we were in our 30s or when we were in our, whatever
prime.
It is, right?"
Right. Yeah.
Well, so he's not a progressive thinker in that. He's constantly looking backwards in terms of, going to the next conquest, but it's always kind of with this sphere or with this lens of what he was in his own. He's a legend in his own mind.
Right, and so he's seeking wealth and love and station constantly.
He's just seeking a good time. I mean, and somebody else to pay for the bill. I mean, and that's something everybody can relate to, right? I mean, he has this huge bill, added up at the Garter Inn, and eventually he'll know somebody's going to pay it. I mean, if he can't, then he'll start having his two cronies pick pockets to pay for his libations.
There you go. Well, and you get to hear Todd Thomas singing this role. This is amazing. I'm
and
so
my
excited.
Great colleagues too. I mean, I passed the. Thank you for that. That's very sweet. But this is a wonderful cast.
No, it is absolutely. Of course, Greg Dahl, our Manitoba boy. Alice Ford is being played by Monica Huseman, who is also Manitoba, Winnipeg based. Actually, just started teaching at the University of Manitoba like full time. She's fantastic. Also, the Nanetta, young soprano. She's working in Toronto right now with the COC Ensemble. Sasha.
Terrific Nanetta.
I am really excited to hear her soulfil. That's just, it is such a delicate aria. Like, if you want a delicate soprano aria, I mean, that is probably one of the most just sublime moments in the soprano repertoire. Ugh, I can't wait to hear it. Well, shucks, friends, join us all. Todd Thomas as Falstaff with, of course, our home people, Greg Dahl as Ford, Alice Ford, Monica Huseman, and the rest of the wonderful cast. If you want to check
Michael Kavanagh, director, is also from Manitoba, right?
And
you have talented people in
you know what? Tell us a little bit about how this Falstaff, because this isn't your first Falstaff, how this
sixth or seventh,
compares
Falstaff
to the rest of the Falstaffs in your...
Yeah, this is... I really adore Michael Kavanagh. I think he's a wonderful director. He did the Trovatore we did here in 2008, and I was very proud of that. So it's great to work with him on this again. This is probably the busiest Falstaff in terms of stage business, in terms of... I say the word shtick, and he takes that in a pejorative sense. I don't mean that pejoratively. I mean, it's in terms of the pratfalls, in terms of the physical comedy, he doesn't let an opportunity pass without that being played for a laugh. And it's very broad, and it's going to. There's no doubt you're in the comedy. You'll be entertained.
Amazing.
And there's great music and beautiful singing on top of it.
I mean, it's Verdi. It's Verdi sung by this really great cast. And I mean, with that practiced endurance, it becomes this marathon of hilarity and beauty.
Well, it's even funny. Like when you in the first part of the interview, you played the first excerpt with Bryn Terfel, that recording, but there's no place to stop, right?
No.
And this opera just goes. I mean, for the very first bar, which actually starts with the rest, which is a joke, right? And the very first thing is after the dum beat, dum diddle dum. So, but the action and the music just propels from that point forward with no stopping. We don't stop for arias. We don't stop for applause. There's not a set number. He's combining the first three scenes all together without a break. We take a intermission and then do the final three scenes. I mean, it's a locomotive that doesn't stop.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know what? We are going to usher you out with the finale because it's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Tell us a little bit about what the finale, like who's involved and what has happened.
All the singers. This is really a brilliant stroke of Verdi. He wrote this. I think this is one of his most youthful scores. But this is a man in his 70s, right, when he wrote this, the very last opera that he wrote. Mm-hmm. But there's a youthfulness in the spirit of what he writes. And essentially, the very last statement is, "He who laughs laughs. He who laughs last will laugh best." Essentially, that all the world is a joke, and let's live it up while we're here on Earth.
I think that is a very timely message.
Right.
As well.
Indeed.
Todd Thomas.
Find the laughter.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining us here in the timeline. Like, it opens Saturday, November 19th, 7:30 p.m. at Centennial Concert Hall, Manitoba Opera's production of Verdi's Falstaff. What a joke it will be, but in the best way. In the best way, absolutely. Michael Kavanagh directing, and we're
Ty Patterson conducting.
And Ty Patterson conducting. Yes. It's going to be a really, really wonderful show. You can catch it also Tuesday, November 22nd at 7 p.m. and Friday, November 25th at 7:30. I'll have a pair of tickets to give away to the Friday, November 25th performance next week. Very exciting. But you should go before and go again because it's just that great. We're going to hear the finale from the same ensemble, Claudio Barro and the Berlin Phil. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah.
Come back anytime.
Okay.